5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
They're guys. They do magic. They are the Magic Guys.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 144 of the Magic Guys. I'm Josh Libido, and over there to my left
This is Nick
K. Oh, we messed that up. Hang on. Can we just start this live again, everyone? Can we just pretend you didn't hear that? Hey! Hey, guys. Welcome to episode 144 of the Magic Guys. I'm Josh Libido, and to my left is Nick K.
This is Nick K. That's Josh Libido.
Yeah.
In the
That
other
was
box.
better. Yeah, nice.
This is what
Doug's
happens
off
when you
being...
Universal.
That's right. Doug's off being awesome. The Tricks conference, I think he's back today, but he's hungover and unresponsive. So Aaron's taking care of him. But we're here to be awesome instead. And it's great to see everyone in the chat already. Let me bring up some comments. Dylan saying, yeah. That's great,
right.
Dylan.
We
Thank
are
you.
definitely unalone. Good to see you, Ed, Thomas, Dylan. Good to see you, friend. Scotty P. It's
the
a
house.
good episode. Yeah, it's going to be a controversial episode as well because we are going to be talking about a whole heap of stuff. But first, how was your week, Josh?
Yeah, I had a nice week, mate.
Well,
Another week, another sold out week at the Theatre of Magic. Cha-ching.
Mazel tov.
So
Fantastic.
much. This is becoming way too much fun, man, because, it doesn't pay like a corporate show, although, it's something we're building up, but it's like I would rather do it than a corporate gig because you're just getting to do the stuff you love to do. So we are in this strange position now where we were full and we had people asking to be put on a wait list, like people on the day calling to say, like, is there an extra seat for us? And it's really cool to hear that stuff. And last week we had a guy come and see the show, and then we got an email yesterday saying, can I book 13 tickets to like bring my staff to one of your shows like coming up? And 13 tickets is like, I don't know, $800 or something that he's just willing to spend to like have his people get magicied. Whatever.
That's a bargain.
Is that right?
An absolute bargain. Honestly, to have magicians of your caliber, three of you guys, whether it be yourself or Chris or anyone for that matter, like especially Carrie, my goodness. Like I actually had the pleasure of having lunch with Carrie. He was in town recently and he looked me up. And so I took him out for lunch, had a great time. And that guy, for those, like I think I've mentioned in the past, but he's just one of these amazing acts. And you know what? I'm not even going to tell you how great it is. You just got to take it upon yourselves to go to the Theatre of Magic and see it like firsthand because it's just the most wonderful thing.
Fun.
Yeah.
And
so
please let me know that the week you're in Brisbane, we'll get you into it to experience it because it is I mean, you know what it's like when you're doing your close-up shows. It's to have an audience that's there primed to ready to enjoy magic. Like that's their thing they're doing that night. They're not at an event, a party, birthday party where you happen to interject. It's like this is what they're here for.
I think what's great about what you're going through right now is that you've got this wonderful experience where people are coming to see you and they have this expectation of like, this is going to be great. This is like, I get to see magic. Whereas all of my environments are like, the hell's this guy? Do you work here? And I'm like, yeah, like, I work.
Oh, you're the musician? Okay.
Oh, what instrument do you play? And I'm like, oh, the banjo. Bang, ding, 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 ding. But okay, so let me give you an example. So last Tuesday, after we'd finished up, I had to jump straight into the bathroom and start applying makeup because I was hired. It was Halloween last Tuesday, and I had to look like a zombie. So I painted up my face and put a couple of lesions and things like that. And I did all that while talking to my mom because I call my mom every Tuesday and Thursday because I'm a good son and I don't want to be cut out of the will. So I had to get dressed up like a zombie and then walk around an office of a call center and entertain people like in each one of their bullpens. Like that was my thing. And that dynamic that you have where it's like, we're coming to see the magic. And there's like, is this guy? Like that is just
I know it's such a split dynamic, right? Like I'll come from a corporate gig to that. And at the corporate gig, you know, some people will be like, "Oh, excuse me, can I get another red? Can I get another refill of my drink?"
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know, I think there's more energy exerted at a corporate gig because you have to first, you know, win them over for that 20 seconds or that first trick.
Yeah.
But this is very cool. So yeah, I'm just going through that. That was my week. Is I got to do that show and just like have a ball, just so much fun. And we film the shows, so there's just like unlimited improv moments of content that we have to just like watch back on and figure out how we can make that happen again or change things. I like magic.
Amazing.
If I could tell my 10-year-old self, your dreams do come true, I would.
I think of that sometimes. I think about like what would like the conversation between 20-year-old Nick and 30-year-old Nick, and then like I'll be 40 like in a couple of years now. Well, in like a year and a bit, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, what would 40-year-old say to 30-year-old, and like what would the conversation be like? I reckon that would be a trip, because keeping in mind to the audience, I didn't get into magic until I was 23. So for 30-year-old to sit in front of like 20-year-old Nick and say, "You're not going to believe this, but in 3 years' time, you're going to start doing magic. And within a few years, you're going to be like so great. And you're going to do it for a living. And you're going to make heaps of people happy. And you're going to be lecturing your magic around Australia. And people are going to know who you are. And then you'll be on a podcast. And I'll be like, what's that? And they'll be like, hang around. It's going to be a good thing. Just write it out. There's going to be a guy called Josh. Like, it would just be so funny. Like,
I would tell my 10-year-old self to start saving up for the moment you lose your hair and you need to go to Turkey. Like if I could just have had that already saved up, that would have been great. I would say invest in Bitcoin. But the problem, Nick, is if you were to talk to your 10-year-old self and maybe tell him to start learning magic earlier or something, give yourself that advantage, then that would mean that you would never be able to say that you used to
playing a band.
And then no one would be able to get drunk while watching the podcast. So
I'm actually going to try to get us a booze sponsor so we can do this more often. But speaking of, we got a lot to talk about today. I've been wanting to have this episode or the context of the episode for a long, long time. I don't even know if we should bother doing gig stories, because what we have is going to be in depth. It's going to be controversial. It's going to light up the chat. Most definitely. I say we jump straight into this hot topic. What do you think, Josh?
Do it, man. Let's ruffle some feathers. Let's stir some Piper Magic pots, as they say.
Welcome to stirring. That's the Piper Magic pot. Okay, so here's what's up, friends. The context of this episode is that there are certain magic tricks that we shouldn't be doing anymore. Either because,
in our opinion,
not in even our opinion. When I say our opinion, I mean the magic community. So what I did, I went and asked several of my closest magic friends, both male and female, and I also asked a few spectators who are lovers of magic, what do you wish people would stop doing? And so I've compiled a list of tricks that should be done, and on top of that, it wasn't even as much as tricks to be done, but just things to be said. Like I've got a list of stock lines that spectators were like, I wish they would stop saying the clean hand and that sort of thing. So the list is quite long. We got about a dozen things which I've synopsisized it down to. Now, I'm going to start with what I think is the most popular one. And the question is not only to you, Josh, but to the audience, and that is this. Should magicians stop doing sponge cock? And for those of you who aren't aware of what sponge cock is, it's when you are doing a sponge.
Well, can you demonstrate it?
I don't have a sponge cock.
But if you don't need the sponge, but if you have the other part, you can still demonstrate the kind of same thing.
Oh, these
it
palms
starts
are big.
small, and then it has to get bigger as you open your hand. Can you orchestrate?
I can proudly say these palms are big. But they ain't that big. You know what I'm saying?
I like it. You know, we just let loose when Daddy's not here. When Daddy Doug's not here.
When the parents aren't here, we tend to run amok.
Should that be his name, Daddy Doug? Can you guys
Daddy
just start commenting
Double
saying,
D.
thanks, Daddy Doug?
What's up, Double D?
Oh, no.
Okay, so, friends, sponge cock. Just to
Okay,
synopsize it. The experience your spectator would have would be typically a sponge ball routine, no matter what phase or how standard it should be. Effectively, you get to a point where you'll take what appears to be 3 balls place it into their hand. And this is the most common way it's done, where you will go, hold these 3 balls and think of something you love. Something you really, really love and want. And then you open your hand up and it's a cock. So should
By
we...
that, he means male genitalia, not a male chicken, just so you guys are clear with that.
It could be a female penis. The year is 2023. Like, grow up, all right? Like, get with the times.
Yes, that's what we're saying. A fellatio-looking object.
Yes, the genitals with the cock and balls. So the point is, should we be doing this? What say you, Josh Nabito?
I think it comes down to context, because I would say generally, yes, it should not be a common ending to a SpongeBob routine. But we've both seen our friend Hedger do it, as Nick would say, my good friend, one of my best friends, Nathan Hedger. We've seen him do it like quite well, like because he doesn't have a, he doesn't have that sleazy nature. When he does that routine, it comes across funny, right? And I've heard people talk about seeing that trick from Hedger, like women, and they're like, oh yeah, he did this, it's a very naughty trick, but it's very funny, because he's not being like, now look what you've got of mine in your hand, or, he's not being like retarded, like saying stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm cancelled.
Okay. Ed makes a good point by saying this is very audience specific. And I think I'm going to agree with you, Ed. And I'm going to say I agree because this is a perfect routine or a kicker ending. Because keep in mind, fellas and friends, you know that you can you could do phases of a routine, but not do these kickers. Like you could afford not to do this routine. Like you could have it on you. So when it comes time, it's perfect. So for example, if you're like me in one of my residencies and you're roving around, you're doing it, but then the bridal hens party comes in. Perfect. They've all got little dicks hanging out of their straws or their cups and stuff. You know what I mean? They're all eating cock candy. They've all got like whatever it might be. You know what I mean? So I think that there's a place for everything. And I don't think it should be canceled, but I think it should be used seldom.
Yes. When else is a great time for it is when you're performing for that group of 5 lads and they're all drinking and giving each other shit. That's when it's I think that's a pretty funny moment to use it.
So when the boys have risen each other and you go, rah, 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 and then you have a little moment and it's like, like that's.
Yeah. Okay. And you like think about the thing you want the most or whatever the joke is. And then it's there and they're all laughing. That's funny. Right, but it shouldn't be like you're doing street magic and you're an up and coming magician, so you're nervous as well, and you're like 17 and you're like, here, hold this, and then open it up, boink, and you're like, what are you doing?
You're gonna be like, come here and show my grandma a trick. They'd be like, all right, Nan. Like,
well, depends on the Nan, I guess. But if they live through the 80s, maybe they're up for it. But there's definitely a time and place for it. Yes, I think generally speaking. It should be like you said. I lived
through the 80s, you piece of shit. Like,
sorry, maybe I didn't go back far enough. But what was the when was the what was the era where they were like hypersexualized, like everyone was just getting it on?
That'd probably be the 70s, like the swinging 70s. I think it was. That's when free love and drugs and sex in the back of combi vans was a thing, which is. My dad had a combi van.
70s. But also in the 80s, you were a kid. You weren't like, at your sexual peak. I'm saying.
Wasn't I?
Okay. Oh, Tom was there. He said it's the 70s. All right.
Okay.
And we have a confirmation from Tim as well.
Yep.
Brilliant. So what I'm saying is a grandma, going through their life's experiences may reminisce from seeing the SpongeCock. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so let's synopsize this by moving on. Let's try to give each entity 5 minutes so we can plow through this. And I'm going to agree by saying there is a place for everything, a place for everything, and everything in its place. So I say, don't bury the SpongeCock. Keep it for when it's needed. A SpongeCock is like a condom. You want to have it on you, and and use it when you need it.
Yes,
Yeah?
that's right. I would say, even though I'm defending it, I would never fucking touch that trick. Like I don't do it. I don't own one,
No.
never have, don't need to. I also controversial, but I think people if you're a magician, why are you using sponge balls? Why aren't you using coins?
God.
Why aren't you doing real man's magic? But
We
that's
had the
another
conversation
topic.
yesterday. Dude, we had the conversation yesterday. It was Byron Black and Dooley, myself. We spoke about this for like a good hour and a half, 2 hours of like, why sponges? And we'll have to pick up on this next time. Like, I'm going to put a pin in this notion
Yes.
of like sponge balls because they're great. And I think that maybe we should probably get a sponge ball expert to join us as a guest and go like, hey, this is what people think about that. Like, but spectators love it. So we'll touch upon this. Let's put a pin in that for the moment and move on to our next trick. Are you ready for our next trick?
I'm ready. Trick number 2.
Bam, bam. French kiss.
Now there was that controversial clip, right? If that's what you're going to lead into.
Oh, I wasn't going to lean into that, but just to describe what the effect is, it's effectively where the magician signs a card, the spectator signs a card, and then they fold them up and put them in their mouths, exchange a kiss.
Maybe we can show them if you lean this way.
Oh,
like,
wait, I'm doing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Am I doing this right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got cards in our mouths.
Wait, we got to get cards in our. Mwah.
Yeah, that was great.
You have very soft lips. Nice. That's very nice.
It's from all the sponge cocks. But anyway.
Okay, so to describe the effect, my friends, ultimately what it is, it's you have magician signs a card, puts it in their mouth, spectator signs a card, puts it in their mouth, a kiss is exchanged, and not an open mouth kiss, literally a pick on the lips or a kiss on the cheek at very most, and those signed cards will change places. Should we be doing this? Yay or nay?
Yeah.
Okay, people are saying this, just before I let you, sorry, Josh, but like Dylan makes a good point. He's saying it depends on the audience. Well, that may be, but be specific. Say like, do it for A, B, C, and D, or don't do it, so forth. Now, you were going to bring up a good point about a situation where this wasn't a, that is a good trick for a swingers club. Good job, Thomas. That's a very good idea. So was Ben Murphy doing that effect when he got bopped?
Yeah. He was doing French kiss. He had just done the right up close to a moment. And then I think he had gone to take it out of his mouth. And that's when the husband rushed him on the stage.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So Bob is saying it's super cringe, don't do it. And I think to some degree it is. I think it's kind of unfair. Now, let me be clear. I have done this effect. I did this in my early 20s. It was a really, really fun piece. It was like the kicker of a very large piece where like it was just epic. And I had like a table set up and a voiceover thing. And we did all this shtick. It was a kiss on the cheek at very most. And it went down really well, and it was done in a very shy, coy manner because the premise of my character in the show was that like magicians aren't super cool, and we don't have pretty girls. We're lonely guys who hang out in our bedrooms and do card tricks, and that was the premise of the show. So I presented it as such. So it wasn't cringe, and it wasn't mean, and it wasn't like I'm trying to find the prettiest girl in the room to mac with. And more times than not, I actually would find someone I knew to do the effect for the people, you know, like granted they were there with their partners, but I knew them, you know what I mean? And I did that as a personal choice just to ensure that everyone had a good time. So I think that if you're going to do this, that like, I wouldn't do it now. I feel like it would be old and creepy of me for a guy approaching his 40s to be trying to attempt this with someone in their 20s, for example.
Yeah. I think what made it popular is a lot of magicians were doing it on TV, because if you think about a TV spot, it's a great way to get the presenter involved. It's something visual on screen. Dan White did a great version of it to the Marvel character. Why am I not remembering her name? She's a babe. You know what I'm talking about? The chat will know.
Which character is
she? Scarlett Johansson.
She loves magic. Yeah.
So on Jimmy Fallon's show, Dan White did a version to Scarlett Johansson, but he didn't kiss her. He just got like awkwardly close, like here. And he did the smoke out of the mouth when the card came back out. Great. Oh, Black Widow. Thank you. That's how we remember it. Scotty's saying upgrade 9 months later, a baby comes out holding your card. Look, that's another trick. And I like that you're playing the long game. You know, what does Teller say? Sometimes magic is people going to greater lengths to achieve something than you would reasonably expect.
So we will be releasing. Well, cool. Well, we can release French Kiss 2.0, Piper Magic. Make sure you use discount code Piper, guys.
Yeah, for 20% off the nappies you'll need for the next 2 years. That baby's growing up. So Dan White, he did a good version. Dynamo's done a pretty good version when he was promoting his tour here in Australia. He had a version where it would. What was the thing he did? He was able to show the card hold up. He found a different way to do it. He would hold the card up with his signature on it. He folded it up, put it in his mouth, and it still came out clean and opened up to be hers. That was pretty cool. But the thing they're doing is not actually making contact. But I think the problem with this trick is now post-pandemic, it's a weird thing to say, hey, open your mouth, like bite down on this card. I think that's for me, the weird, like, why do you need to do that? So again, that's a trick that I'm sure I did it in my early days, but I haven't touched that trick for a long time just because there's better alternatives out there instead. So
let's look at the pillars of the arguments that we have. So the argument being that we're in a post-pandemic time where saliva and stuff is kind of gross. We're not really sharing lollipops anymore.
Well, speak for yourself.
Okay. So
it depends also. I think the way a lot of stage magicians have been doing it, which is like the Ben Murphy version, I think that is what perhaps needs to be retired. Like the hitting on the woman on stage, making her feel uncomfortable, getting really close.
Okay. So the presentation is where it becomes creepazoid. So you can come across being like, I'm going to take your wife up and mack her on stage. And that becomes a bit gross. And it's like, you're a dick. So maybe it's about identifying how creepy it can make you look, how maybe age inappropriate it can be. Because the effect in itself, if you know the method, doesn't have to go in your mouth. Pasha made a great comment by saying that you could put it in your hand and do a fist bump and then show the exchange in your hand.
Great alternative.
What a great alternative. So the trick in its essence is brilliant, but it's how we present it that makes it poor. So
okay,
if you're
I think sorry.
No, not at all. But I think there's an exercise that it's like, don't do it in your mouth no more, and don't kiss your spectators, and don't So the final consensus is: do we retire the French kiss?
Hearsay, it is now retired. Okay.
To jail, straight to jail. Well, you know what? We had a good run. We had a very good run, and I'm very thankful. Yeah. And if anyone wants to push back, by all means, we can do that. So, trick number 3.
We can come up with our own variation, the Australian kiss. Anyway, let's not make that joke. Let's keep going.
What did you do with that? You put it in between your butt crack and then bump hips.
Yeah, that's right. It's like the French kiss, but down under. Yeah. That old joke.
Crude. Yeah. Okay. Next trick. Here we go. The next trick is Baffling Bra. For those of you who don't know what this effect is, typically what you would do is you would have a lady. This is a very old trick, so the description of it's quite interesting. So you would basically have a lady in her dress when you would go out to the theater, and then you would put 2 silks into their shirt, and then when you pull the silks out, their bra would come with, is the effect.
Yeah. And just so everyone's clear, the definition of a bra is an undergarment worn by a woman to support the breasts. Okay.
Oh man, it's the year 2023. Okay. Jesus.
Just in case, I know we got magicians watching, so not everyone is up to speed with our lingo, okay?
Yes.
I didn't know until my later years. All right, so yeah, so the perfect use of it.
Can you do it with two hands or one? Like a bra. Have you ever had to like?
Yeah, I would say every bra is the baffling bra. Like it's not just the gimmick version. Get off.
Seriously, yeah. I always leave them on. I'm just like, too much. You keep that. It looks nice. Leave it on.
Yeah, I was okay at the one hand. It's the pinch, and it's like this. Like it's like you finally pinch. Yeah, that's right, and you click. That's right to get it to go off.
Like first and second middle finger and snap and.
Yeah. You find it, you squeeze and snap so that one goes. It unhooks. Yeah.
We sound like two 14-year-old virgins right now on our podcast
because Daddy Doug's not here.
Oh, see what happens when the parents are like, exactly. Oh, we don't need to get a babysitter. We're gonna have to
yeah, man. So baffling bra, it's funny.
Baffling bra.
Well, Chris and Mike, do the best version of it in the Naked Magicians because everyone's there for their hens night and it's funny and it's great and whatever. But it definitely shouldn't be seen in a corporate stage show. That's for damn sure. I mean, there's also the underwear version for guys. Like, is that more acceptable or the same?
I think it would be funnier to. I do a iPad Magic routine where I explain that my iPad has like X-ray vision, and what I do is I put the iPad against someone's stomach, and erroneous of who the guy is or what they look like, it's a six-pack. Like you see the six-pack abs like that guy, and it's and they look great, and then I hold it up to myself, like and go, you don't want to turn it on by accident, be careful, and I just have a quick flash of me wearing a pink. Well, it's not me, but it's a photograph of a hairy-chested person wearing a pink bra. So it's just a quick flash. And sometimes I'll do it for myself because I prefer to be the butt of the joke. But every now and again, somebody who's like, douchebag alpha energy is like, do me. I'm like, let's look at those pecs. And then I put it on. And then I go, wow, impressive. And he can't look down and see it because he's just pushing out. You know what I mean? So everyone the joke is he's wearing a pink bra under his shirt. Haha. So it's... I'm going to put a pin in that one, Ron. We'll get back to that in a sec. But
Ron, can you, before we bring that question up, can you give us more context as to why? Because that's a very broad range of magic you're hitting right there. But yeah, we'll come back to that.
Definitely, we're going to jump back to that as soon as we wrap up with this. So look, effectively, Mike and Chris do a good version of it, and I think that if it's again, it's a context thing, isn't it? So.
Yeah, just come up with a better trick, guys. I mean, that's all it is. Like, the gag's funny if no one has seen it before. My issue with never touching it has always been, like, it's a hack trick if I do it because I'm not bringing anything new to the table. And it never really fit my character. But, like, yeah, I think a lot of people have seen that gag now. And if they've seen the gag, it's already cringe, but now it's, like... cringe and not funny if they've seen it. That's all. But again, retirement homes, it's probably the place for it because they grew up through the 70s and they'll be like, whoa, you got that off faster than that guy did at the Woodstock in 79 or whatever.
I think we've just identified that every time you retire a trick, you can do it in a retirement home. So thick list, my friend. And then start marketing to every retirement home where you can do the French kiss. I'm sure that Gladys would love a peck on the cheek and have the cards change. Don't let...
Can you bite down on this? Well, actually, I can't. I'm all gummed.
No,
that's going to be weird.
Takes out her teeth and just goes clamp and holds it like this in between her hands.
Oh, no.
That would be the best.
Funny.
Yeah.
It would be a killer show for them. Sponge dong, French kiss, the amazing bra. Great. Yeah.
Baffling
Bra. I like where this is going. All right.
Okay. So
send them to the retirement home.
Okay. So the idea is that we're going to retire the baffling bra. By all means, do it, but do it at a retirement home. So we're going to be building the retirement home show. Oh my God, we should do that. Moving on to the next one. So was there any more said, Ed, about the phone? Here we go.
or Ron. I think it was
Ron,
Ron.
sorry.
And he's also not liking cards too. So I think Ron just hates life. That's what that is. Tell me that wouldn't be the most epic ending.
I think phone magic is great. There's a lot of good effects, like the ones that I do, I actually vanish a phone and have it appear inside my caps wallet in my breast pocket. I do the phone and balloon, which segues into a larger scale piece. I do Instagram based magic to direct traffic to my Instagram and build my following. Swap dentures. That is hilarious. But yeah, it's I don't know, man. Like I can't say phone magic is I can't retire that one. What say you?
You can't, because phones are so topical. Like, it's a prop that everyone has. So when you talk about organic magic, everyone has a phone. So what else are you going to use? Why wouldn't you be like, let me use your phone?
Yeah, I mean, think of that Wikipedia test where that's in your pocket 24/7, and you can literally play that to an enormous audience and blow people's minds. Like, that is too good to not. So, sorry, Ron, we're not going to retire phone magic. Overruled.
And my favorite effect I'm waiting for is when they're able to bring out the Ambitious Card app on your phone. That'll be the day.
Oh yeah.
Just to go with this comment saying, say Ambitious Card one more effing time. If you just mix the two together, then a negative and a negative equals a positive, right? So then it becomes a fun thing. All right, what's next on our list?
Look,
and by the way, if you guys have things you think should be retired or at least changed for the modern era, put them in the comments too. Like Scotty P's Magician and Spectator swap dentures. That's a great new modern effect that could be brought to market. So keep that up. All right, what do we got?
I'm like, imagine you swap meds and,
you take the red pill. You take the red pill and you wake up tomorrow like nothing ever happened. You take the blue pill and I show you just how far down.
Okay, I'm going to mention this one, but I'm going to say firstly that I don't do stack work when it comes to my card work. I do not. So, Josh, I'm kind of relying on you to take the reins with this one. And there was controversy when this product first came out. So it's not as much a trick as much as this is a product. But this was said several times. I have a count of 7 of all the friends I asked, the dozens of friends I asked, and they all said, don't do stack watch. This is a product that was released by The Illusionist, in which you could use this to not have to do any memorization of decks. And that was the intent of this product being released. It got a lot of pushback. The product wasn't in particularly great quality from what I was told, and this is just hearsay. I'm not going to confirm or deny any of this because I don't know it. I haven't seen it firsthand. This is before the review show was a thing, so I was never sent the product, so I won't speak on behalf of that. But for someone who actually does stack work, like yourself, Josh, and someone who is familiar with this product, what say you?
Oh, bro, it's so lazy. Like, to not learn the stack and buy a watch for hundreds of dollars instead. And the main problem is, if one card goes out of place, like, you have to look at your watch with every card to check, is that card in order? Is that card in order? Like, to find the one that's missing. That's the problem. It's like they've made a product like that's not relevant, because no one is going to do stack work that isn't prepared to put the work in, because you would just do a different, better effect. It's just a lazy answer. Although, was it Lloyd Barnes? Someone brought out an app for stack work where you could input, like, you could let the spectator cut the deck, and then you mark down what's on the bottom of the deck, and then you input the card they select, and it tells you the outs you can use to get to that card. Like, you can spell a 12-letter word or whatever. I don't know. Even that's a bit too convoluted because you should be able to just use this calculator to, get into it, which is hard work, but.
Okay. So ultimately the reality is that if you are going to do stack work, don't get the watch, do your diligence and perform it in a way that it's intended, which is to do the memorization and put the effort in. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, the stack watch was made fun of like all over the internet when it came out. So it's not just a my opinion thing. Like everyone was like making fun of it.
Okay, we have shots fired for this next one.
Okay, this is a good conversation. Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting pushback on this one particular trick that everyone does and loves, and this is double cross.
There's a problem with it. The problem is similar to Invisible Deck in that it's way too easy to perform and the reaction is unproportionately strong compared to how easy it is to do. So therefore, every one of us does it. And the problem with that is now people actually know it as a trick. Oh, you do that cross trick. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Like, do you perform it?
You know what? I don't do the double cross trick, and I'm not against it. It's just that there was a trick that was released many. Well, I try to perform all my own material, or take or find ways to make it quintessentially mine. This is definitely like
exactly
a Nick Cave routine. And that's the reason I think I've had the success I've had as a magician here in Oz and in amongst the corporate scene and so forth, as opposed to just being a guy who is a cover band magician, so to speak, and buys tricks, performs, and buys tricks, performs, and there's nothing against that. But the reason I did that is that Rich Ferguson released a trick many years ago called Tagged.
Yeah.
And I have been performing that version or variations of that version ever since. I since then have found other methods to do it, but it's basically everything that I've do with regards to marking someone with something has been a variation of what I learned from Rich Ferguson some 15 years ago, and it is a fantastic piece of magic. And you guys probably didn't. It's probably not even in existence anymore. And in truth, to find the props that you need in order to be able to create the gimmicks, God's truth, I on a regular basis go to these certain locations in search of these particular types of things you need to build the gimmicks.
Amen.
And you can't find them. And
see, I like, because now there is some work required for entry, like to be able to do the effect. It's not like, imagine if he brought out Tagged as a self-contained Sharpie that could do Tagged. Yeah, everyone would do it, because that trick is nuts. But so, I also remember having to order stuff on eBay. I never ended up doing it, but I did. I loved the download, and then I ordered off eBay the things you need. Yep. And by the end of it, I was like, "There's so much stuff here. I'm not going to do this."
And so, if you guys are unaware of what this Tagged performance, like what this effect is, it is effectively, imagine double cross, but instead of a cross down the entire side of someone's arm, you can write a word as long as like the compass is your hand. Like you can write an enormous word across them. You know, it could be anything. And I used to write whole revelations. Like the one I used the most was 3 of clubs, and it was literally, 4 or 5 inches long, like across their arm. You could see it from across the room. It looked like a tattoo.
Or you could do another. One they showed in the download was you could do a book test, and the word that they end up thinking of is actually reveals that you've actually written it on their arm, like thick stamp-like letters, not just a pen or something. It's like it, and it also, to them, it feels like it's appeared on their arm after choosing that word. Yeah, and so that's amazing. And it's as simple as like shaking someone's hand and you've tagged them, and you could technically do it to a whole group of people, like, and they would have no idea. Okay, but let's go back to double cross for a sec. So Bob Possible made a great point, and I've had the same thing. So he says every time someone has told me they've seen a magician, this is the thing they've seen, which is double cross. And I don't see much originality between the different performers. So the problem is the effect is so good that, you know, to be honest, why wouldn't you do it? If it's about giving a reaction to the audience, showing them something amazing, it's an easy go-to. But the issue is, like, we all do it now because it is good. So my history with it is I tried to find more unique ways to do it. I think Adam Axford was the first person I saw really do a unique version with the heart stamp, but it was a connection between two people. He would have them hold hands. So like the ending is here, but he's got this hand is holding onto someone else's hand. They're facing each other, and the other person, the cross starts here, the heart starts here. He built this really emotional piece, which is lovely. And then I started using the heart stamp accompanied with flash paper just to make it, I don't know, some kind of original, not original, but just, you know, a Norbito flavor.
Yeah. So I guess that,
and then of course, yeah.
So go on.
But then I was just going to see how long we could keep doing that. Basically now I have it on me, like Nick said earlier, like a condom. You know, probably won't use it, but it's good to have it. So I do keep one on me, but I don't use it. I never use it unless I have exhausted like all my effects, which shouldn't happen. But if I've exhausted all my effects and I'm literally out the door on my way to the car and the boss is like, oh, do you have one more thing? And I literally have put everything away, then I'll do it. But it's like a last resort killer if I need to for me. That's where it lives in my world now.
So I think the thing that double cross is facing overexposure in the scene, and I think that's the only downfall it has. So it doesn't. I don't think it should be retired. I just think it should be personalized to you.
Yes. Instead of a cross, I like that David Blaine, for example, does it with a spade now or a number. So he has them pick a card and he gets them to choose, do you like as an example, do you like the 9 or do you want the spade? And then, I think, I'm trying to remember if he's able to pull one off. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Like, you know what I would do? I would go to like the small pip underneath, like the value of a card. And then I would just scratch off that, you know, and I would sort of say like, you know, go watch close, and I would take it off the card and then put it on their person.
See,
and
that's amazing.
And that's how I would do it. Like if I had to do it, if I was going to do it, that's how I would do it. I would just go watch close. We'll take it off and I'll put it on you. And the setup for that would be super easy. It's just a knife and a scratch off, and that would look sick.
You know, erasers literally rub off card ink too. I don't know if you guys know this, but you can rub off. Jason Ma was the first person to show me. You can literally rub off entire pips of, like, you can create a blank card from a razor. You just very quickly, the friction takes off the ink, not the paper. It's crazy.
Just the rubber, just the rubber alone, just straight up rubber, not like the rough side of the rubber.
No, not a pen eraser, just a normal rubber. Bob's saying the pink eraser is great as well, is best. Yeah. So you can actually make your own gimmicks, and that already excites me. What you were talking about, Nick.
You can use
Prop Dog.
axe.
Wow. Prop Dog in the UK, that website, they were 3D printing a lot of different reveals to add on to your Sharpie. I would look at that, or maybe hit up Bob Possible. It sounds like he might have the inkling to produce some stamps. But that's the way to go. Like, make it your initials, make it a reveal of a letter or card suit. That's going to make it pretty awesome.
Yeah.
In saying all of this, Pasha did bring up a good point. Didn't you do it on Channel 10, Josh, on national TV? Yes, I did. I did, and that was only 2 weeks ago. But the thing I tried, the problem I've seen with it being done on TV is the marking is done on TV. So I did the stamping in pre-show, And had it worked, it would have been awesome. But I drew an X on a piece of flash paper, lit it, threw it in the air, got her to reach out and grab it out of the air. And if the X had transferred properly, she had very moisturized hands, so it was only half of remnants of X. And I moved on, and only magicians bring it up to me because no one else cares about that moment. But had that worked and opened up a hand, it would have slayed. And then, you know, I would think a lot of magicians would start doing it that way. But again, it's me trying to put my own flavor on it. Okay, I think we've talked about this a lot. So it shouldn't be retired. It should just be personalized. Nick said it very well. So
okay, so
love it.
Not being retired, personalize it, and look, I love things that are utilities, and in fact, that's a utility, and you can use that in your own way to do something cool with it. And so, if you can create something that's quintessentially Bob, quintessentially Thomas, quintessentially Josh, do it. Power to you. Now, next one, the 21 card trick.
Oh God! I mean, I think that's reserved for non-magicians. Isn't it?
I think it's reserved for the spectators. Like, can I show you a trick? And you go, yeah. And they go, I'm going to count 21 cards. And I'm like, sick. And then you just sit back for 6 minutes while they go, am I doing it right? And I'm like, yeah, man, you're crushing it. Keep going. And then you just get a 6-minute break to grab a drink while friggin' whoever the hell is tinkering away with these playing cards, chewing your time while you get paid a bunch to be there. Done. Yep.
I think, and I think this is the easy one to sort out because, like, real magicians don't do that trick. Magicians don't even do that trick. It's just, they've watched the bloody masked magician or whatever teach it, and then that's their one party trick they know.
Okay.
So if anything, we should go out of our way to show them like a different party trick that maybe doesn't take 37 minutes.
Okay.
Might be on an individual basis.
Okay. The ruling is the 21 card trick is for that spectator who's a drainer and wants a little bit of limelight. You give them the playing cards and you allow them to do the trick. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Done.
Very, very good.
Moving on. Okay. Zig Zag. For those of you that don't know what Zig Zag is, it's a dirty big box that a spectator, the magical assistant will go into. I think, is it sliced in the middle? Is there an...
I think it goes into 3 pieces, right? So it's like you can see their head here, legs here, torso here, and then you pull out the torso. Is that the zigzag?
Correct. Yep. So there's 3 sections of this box, and the centerpiece gets pulled over all the way. So there's a zigzag, so to speak. So you have like a box that's in the middle that's misaligned, where the top, so that if they were numbered to be from the top, 1, 2, 3 in the bottom, 1 and 3 would be in perfect alignment, and number 2 would be put right to the side. Is it fooling anyone? Honestly. I mean, yes, you can see the person's face in box number 1 with their hand doing a bit of a wave. Sure. You know, but like, is it fooling anyone? Come on.
Yeah, I think, obviously I don't have experience in doing it because I've never built any big illusions, but I think like these days, I don't know if box illusions are that appealing to the modern audience anyway. Like Shin Lim won America's Got Talent from doing close-up magic.
Yeah.
And most videos that are like, you don't really see a viral video popping off from a classic box illusion. It's always a card trick or, you know, mind reading or mixing AI with magic or, you know, making a robot that can do the cups and balls. It's not usually a sewing in half or a zigzag or even a origami, like going viral. I mean, not that it should be taken away, but yeah, I don't think you can just rely on investing $100,000 into 5 classic stage illusions and thinking you're going to have a successful career. Is that fair to say?
I think that's fair to say. And just as I read the comments, as you obviously make yours, I think that Bob made a very good point by saying that it is very exposed and it has a place in the classic stage show. So with that being said, if it goes to retirement and is performed in a retirement home, will it be a good place for the Zig Zag to exist?
Oh. This retirement show is actually building up to be quite a banger.
It's a pretty lit show. And that's the thing. If it's a lit retirement show, is it purely because we are projecting that we think that magic should be modernized? I mean, it should evolve, right? Like we shouldn't forever be doing. I mean, silk magic was a genre that is basically non-existent now. And it's almost difficult to even find resources on it, nowadays. And if you find the resources, they are ancient, But there's nothing that's been printed in the past 5 years. I'm like, here's some dope silk magic, and here's how you do it. Like, that's just not a thing nowadays.
Yeah, I agree. So we're getting to the last 10 minutes of the podcast. Maybe we should rapid fire any
okay
we have.
Okay, let's do a couple more, and then we'll retire.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to retire the Zig Zag. Agreed? Say aye.
Aye.
Done. Next one. I don't know what this is called, but I did ask Josh, and I kind of wish that Daddy was here to tell us how this works. But you know that stupid trick where you have the spectator, like they hold. I'm trying to emulate this without holding the mic.
So I'll talk. So they hold the deck like that, and then by the end, you end up with they slap the deck. Yeah.
Smack the deck, and then 2 cards are left.
Well, it's actually by the end you're left with I think 4 cards. Because you're like, is this your card? Is this your card? Is this your card? Is this your card? They're like, no. And you're like, I'm sure one of them's your card. Okay, hold on to it with your thumb. You hit it down, and there's one left, and then it is the card.
So, like, all the cards fall down, and then you do that.
Or the last 5 cards fall down.
Okay, so you mean like a fan of cards that you give the spectator? Is that how it's done? Because I only ever seen it done with a full deck.
Oh, whoever did that is an idiot.
Well, thank you. To my point, I wrote this one down. I friggin' hate this trick. It's so stupid. And if anyone goes, let me show you a trick, and then wants to hit your hand, like, what kind of customer experience is that? Are you all right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
How dare you physically assault your friggin'? You're out of your mind.
The trick is normally done like this, Nick. So it's normally like, is this your card? No, you put it down. Right? Is this your card? No, put it down. And then you do a certain move, right? So you go, is this your card? And you do the glide move, which is now actually their card, but you'd put it down. And they wouldn't realize, I think and then, but you would have done that with 4 cards, for example. And then you take these cards again, and you essentially do the same move. And then you have them hold it, they slap it down. The friction will keep this card here.
We have a name for the trick where you slap it. It's called the Will Smith.
We can't retire it now.
Get my cards out of your fucking mouth.
Yeah. So, is that him talking about French kiss?
Wow.
That's awesome.
Look,
let's forever call it the Will Smith.
Will Smith. Yeah. Look. I just think it's an awful experience, okay? Like, you do magic, okay, people do magic for their ego. You shouldn't. You should do it to make your spectators smile. You should do it with the intention of doing good. And I personally think that if you're going to slap their hand, bad times, all in favor, say aye.
Well, you don't slap their hand. You slap the cards out of their hand.
Erroneous. It's a physical assault. It's like saying, like, I didn't smack him. I smacked his drink out of his hand. And it's like, still, dude, it's just not cool. All right? I
think it's a bad trick anyway because you're knocking your cards onto the dirty floor of the venue, Let's retire it. Fine. What? Are there any others?
Could you imagine doing that in a retirement home with someone's arthritic fingers? You know what I mean? Someone's brittle. They've just gone through friggin' months of chemotherapy and their bones are brittle and you go smacking cards out of their hands?
That would be a meta episode in itself. What tricks not to do in a retirement home, I think.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Don't do the guillotine, Don't. Yeah. There's probably certain ones that they don't want to be compromised position in. Okay, sorry.
All right, we're going to do one more and then we're going to do our product review.
Okay.
It's a good one this week. Okay. We actually have a lot. I'm going to be, just so you guys are aware, we've got some really good traction on the review show, and we're having suppliers. They're going to be sending lots of stuff. Originally, when we started this with our good friend Mr. Piper, we were supposed to do this once a week, but I'm being inundated with so much stuff that like I'm going to have to just fire them off as soon as I get them. Just like get them. Like I try to do like 3 in a day, like watch them and then type the review up, and then I record them all in one big hit. So we're going to be pumping these out,
Nice.
Which the timing sucks because it's corporate Christmas time, and I'm like my time is very ill spent, but and that's why I don't go to the gym. That's the reason I'm making up right now. Last trick, and it hurts me to say this because it's a friend of mine who created
this. You told me this, didn't you? Is this the one you brought up? And I was like, I think I would disagree.
Yes. So
okay,
this is going to be, we're going to end on some controversy perhaps before we do the review, and we might go over time, and we're sorry, but we're having a good time. So nuts to you guys. Boris, the spider on the back of the hand.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with the 2-card Monty one we talked about. And I was like, no, that's got to stay. But anyway, let's go with that's better. That's more controversial.
It's
Boris
more
the
controversial.
Spider. Yeah.
Boris the Spider. For those of you who don't know, it's done with the phone, a la our good friend Ron, who was anti-phone magic, where you do this thing where a spider walks across your hand and so forth, and then you wave your hand over the phone. The spider is on the back of their hand. They then shit themselves, and it gets a great reaction. And the argument that's constant from the magicians is it gets big reactions. It gets big reactions. And it's like, it might get big reactions, but like...
So does scaring a woman in a change room, you know? That doesn't mean you should do it.
Watching your penis at traffic, you know what I mean? Like, you just don't do it.
Yeah.
Now, we are getting retire. Or is that from the previous trick that I'm seeing here?
Well, the common theme I'm seeing, and I saw this earlier, is that Ladybug is better.
Ladybug rules, and I have done a review of that product, and we have Buck coming next week to you can watch the review on the channel by all means, but Buck is going to come on the show. We'll talk about it at length, and I genuinely, I don't, like I said, I don't perform tricks, but I literally just last week ordered 300 of these Ladybugs because it's just so good. It's just so good. It's a great trick, awesome. And I do it all the time now. So, but back to the spider trick. It gets great reactions. I feel like this. I feel like it perhaps has run its course. I feel it's a great trick for Halloween.
That's what I was going to say. Keep it for Halloween. Do Ladybug the other 364 days of the year.
Do we retire? Well, you can't put it in a retirement home, firstly. It needs to go.
Oh, God.
It needs to go to purgatory. It needs to go somewhere else. Like, it needs to go straight to the infirmary, perhaps. But, like...
Again, there's no reason why you can't load something else onto their hand. Why does it have to be a spider? Like the butterfly version, there's a butterfly version in the app. That's cool. I know they made a cockroach version, but I think it's got to be some... Like, why make it a scary thing? Because... I don't know that I've ever heard someone getting booked by someone who saw a spider and, you know, freak out on the back of their hand. So let's roll with that. All right. Should we hop, skip, and jump into this review, Nick?
I say we should. And let me preface it by saying that we're going to talk about this awesome prediction system that was created by the 2022 award winner, HJ. It's a trick called Balloon Prediction. Let's roll the tape.
Hyper Magic product review.
So in this balloon prediction trick, my friends, it is a routine where you first engage all the folks in the room, where you have a series of like either balloons. You could use a single balloon or multiple balloons. But either way, it's a really beautiful visual where these balloons are flying around all the room, and you're basically playing a game of musical hot potato. When the music stops, you can then ask for spectators' choices, and it could be almost anything. Like it could be a randomly generated card, it could be a star sign, it could be names, it could be anything which you wish to predict for this routine. So The last member holding the balloon is then invited to come up on stage. They can hold up the balloon and you can see clearly that something is inside that balloon. You explain to your audience that some of them are afraid of like balloons popping, and I've experienced this a lot in my shows, and say rather than popping the balloon, you're going to vanishingly make it disappear. And so you take out this giant magic wand, uncap it. On the very end of it is a sharp implement, a little needle. You then pop the balloon, and the piece that was inside the balloon falls to the ground. You open it, and it predicts your audience's choices perfectly. Really good bit of kit. Now, what you get with this is you get this precisely made gimmick, which is a wand and a holder. It comes along with a index as well, because this is engineered to be performed inside a case. So you get a 52 slot index. You get 20 balloons so you can start practicing it, and you get a video tutorial which explains everything in proper detail and the many different ways you can actually present it. Okay. Now, as far as difficulty goes, super easy to perform, right? It's super easy because effectively you are doing a kind of loading process to get everything happening. And so it's all super easy. It's all very well motivated, and it's only limited by like your own creativity as well. So as far as pros and cons goes, you get an index. It's extremely fast loading. You can basically do this one-man operation or one-person operation, I should say, without an assistant, or you can do it with an assistant for a really awesome confabulation. It's really interactive with the balloons flying around. It packs super small, plays super big. You can play this for like hundreds of people in a room very, very easily. And depending on the size of the balloons you use, that can also dictate how well it plays as well. And as far as the routining goes, they give you so many really cool ideas that you can do with that. So, for example, you could just have 5 balloons lined up and ask them to choose one. And the last one has a $100 bill inside it, for example, you know, and they pop. And it's like, oh, so you just have to find one with the balloon. And it's the last one and you didn't get to choose it. I get to choose it. Meh. So there's all these different ways you can do that, right? Super fun stuff. Now, as far as like the cons go, it's not a con as much as it is a restriction. And the restriction is that you can only predict or have a prediction written on a A5 sheet of paper. So with regards to size, normal A4 sheet, folded in half, that's 2 A5 pieces there. So it's not as much of a restriction or a con as much as just knowing that like this is what you have to work with. And for me, having an A5 sheet for a prediction is plenty. Some people want their predictions to play big, and what they'll do is they'll put like a scroll, you know, in a bottle or something, and then they unravel it and it encompasses the entire stage. And that's cool. If you want to do that, this ain't for you. But if you want to have it written in A5, ridgy-dig. Cost in Oz is 220 Aussie dollars, which is about 140 US dollars for our American listeners. Now, that might seem like a lot of money, friends, and it kind of is. But let me say this. If you saw the video tutorial and you have the gimmick in front of you and you see what you actually get, within like 5 minutes of me watching the tutorial, I was like, I can see why this is worth this. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. So I think for the money and what you get and the quality of it, it's going to last you forever. So provided you buy this and actually do it, worth every cent. Not something you buying, just throw into your drawer along with the rest of the bits that you buy, like the Borises and etc. Don't do that, all right? So when I ask myself, who is this for? It's for any magician who wants something that's going to pack small and play big, and it's going to be really great for any sort of performance where you have a group of people, whether it be like seated in a table setup or maybe in an arena where they're like tiered seating, anything of that nature. It's perfect. If you're going to do like a bank night effect, this is perfect. You have a bunch of balloons, and that's just great. Like if you're a cruise ship guy or a gal, perfect, absolutely perfect for you. So I think that if you fall into these sort of categories, I'd say get it. And if you're going to get it, make sure you get it from pipermagic.com.au and use discount code PiperGuys to get a discount on a pretty expensive product, but it's going to work really, really well for you.
Piper Magic product review.
And I think that pretty much sums up today's episode. I mean, there's a lot of effects we went through there. I'm interested to hear the after this has been live the comments and feedback that come through. And send us some voice messages if you think we've missed one, or you have a different approach, or a way maybe people could reinvent one of the effects. Speakpipe.com/the Magic Guys. I love it. Next week, Doug is back, but we also have our guest, and we have another guest that's just booked in that Doug featured on one of his videos. I'm guessing maybe you arranged that, Nick, or maybe Doug did. I don't know.
I did. It's a surprise, but it's an amazing coin magician. And
amazing. Yeah.
And I love coins. So this is just like, once we found this amazing talent, we're like, you have to come on our show, and we have to show the planet how great you are. So you got that to look forward to.
Exciting things coming up. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But look,
and if
guys,
you enjoyed this, guys, also, if you enjoyed seeing these sort of like these lists of ideas that we have, like if you kind of enjoyed this like hot topic, so to speak, like let us know, and we'll try to bring you a few more things to discuss and talk about, because we kind of value your opinions. We like to think we are a community. You're part of the Magic Guys and Gals. And so by all means, like, let us know if you enjoyed that as well.
Hell yeah. Anyway, I'm going to throw it over to Nick for the final word, but we'll see you guys next week. A lot of stuff coming up. Love you all. See you then.
I think today's final word, with the topic being today, is that it's not always about what you do, but how you do it. And as long as you perform pieces of magic, whether they be yours or purchased, just make sure you do it with the best of intention to make people smile. And that's my final word.
Thanks for listening. It's time for us to disappear now. But we'll see you again on the next episode of The Magic Guys.